Many people are aware of the fires in Maui. People were aware of the fires in California. People are now aware of the fires in the Canary Islands. What many may not be aware of are the growing fires globally. And we're not just talking around America, state by state, or here and maybe Canada, although Canada has their problems too now. I'm going to show you a picture of the current state of the entire world when it comes to going fires right now globally. Take a look at this. Now, many of you may not know that that's going on, but you know who did know this was going to go on? The elites. How do I know this? Well, I'm going to read for you something that I think many, if you thought it was a conspiracy theory, you may think differently now. I'm going to read for you something out of Agenda 2030. Now, if you're not aware of what Agenda 2030 is, it is the next phase of what the elites are going to do to try and bring in the New World Order. They've not been secret about it. It's just that people have not been watching. Now, listen carefully. This is from Agenda 2030. Societal grand challenges that fire research can help address. Societal grand challenges are more than isolated research topics or research priorities, of which there are already an abundance as there are researchers. Rather, societal grand challenges should be viewed as a set of difficult but important challenges that have political impact as well as societal impact. You hear that? The list of grand challenges can be made long, and definitions are dependent on the perspective of the authors, and this paper is no different. They go on to speak about fires. We live on a planet with finite resources and limited resilience, i.e., and limited capacity to recover to change. The concept of planetary boundaries, as developed by Rockstrom et al. 2009 and extended 2015, defines a set of intrinsic processes that regulate the stability of the globe as a system. Two core boundaries have been identified, of which climate change is one, with the potential to single-handedly drive the Earth's system into a new state should they be significantly compromised. They are speaking about fires. Human influence on the climate is clear. The more we disrupt the climate, the more we risk severe, passive, and irreversible impacts, and we have the means to limit climate change and build a more prosperous, sustainable future. The goal is to get the climate to 2 degrees centigrade. In order to push this, they have to do what? Push the urgency for it. How do you do that? Increase the awareness of what is happening because of climate change. What is happening because of climate change? Fires. If you write a book some 10 years before, and all of a sudden the things you've written about all of a sudden just become natural occurrences, someone would start to think that you have a hand in it because they're not natural. They're also trying to decrease population. Why do you think they don't want anybody looking into the locations where the fires take place? Why are they limiting the news? Why are they limiting traffic? Why are they limiting people who still live there from recovering? Because they have to decrease the population. It is very crazy. The other thing in Agenda 2030 that they mentioned was this. This is part of the introduction. The world is facing enormous challenges in terms of access to resources, increasing and verifying population, and climate change impacts, including extreme weather events. Concurrently, technology is rapidly advancing. Cities are growing larger and denser, and the population is aging. These challenges are recognized by countries around the world across all levels of income with varying capacity to address them. One important area that is often missing in discussion of societal challenges is the impact of fire on health, safety, climate, community resilience, and the economy. This is not, I repeat, this is not coincidental. If things don't start progressing naturally, you have to make things happen. They speak about it. The World Health Organization estimates global burn deaths at 180,000 annually, the vast majority in low and middle income countries. Look at the graph I showed you, and look at Africa. This is intentional, folks. If you need more information, go read Agenda 2030 and Agenda 2050. You can see their game plan laid out in red and black. This is not coincidence. This is planned. It's an extermination of humankind for their purposes. Don't get it twisted. They have no intentions of trying to recoup anybody's land, rebuild anybody's home. Their goal is the utter decimation of humankind, leaving very little for them to control in terms of people, but a whole lot of resources for them to exploit. Think I'm lying? Take their word for it, not mine. You know, things always seem to take a lull and then explode. There is a new movie coming out called The Book of Clarence. Now, on the surface, you look at the name and you don't think too much about it. And then you go watch the trailer for this particular movie. The premise is that there is no shocker here, by the way, another person that sees the acts of Jesus and wants to mimic them and thinks he can be just like him because he wants the fame and fortune that may come with the works that Jesus did. I'm always baffled as to how black people are the ones to get suckered into stuff like this, but at every turn, just when I think there are a few that are snapping out into reality, they get suckered right back into stupidity. It used to be that the black household was strong in faith, believed God, functioned properly. Today, however, thanks to the works of certain people like Jay-Z, he's behind some of the music on this, by the way, and other secular artists, we have now come full clown circle to where not only do we want to be gods, we will look at the Son of God and say, he ain't that good, I can be better, look at me go. If you are really that special, go find your own story. At every turn, you want to usurp someone else's hard work and claim it as yours. Everything is black now. First you say you got no power, then all of a sudden, everything that has to do with power was black. So you have power? So were you the ones that came up with the whole racism idea? But I digress. This movie is so blasphemous on every level that I can't understand for the life of me how anyone can be praising it. But then I remember who the father of the air is. And he's behind this movie. Now, the director is the brother of the well-known artist Seal. James Samuel is his name. Secular artist out of England. Not a whole lot's known about him, not about his religious affiliations, none of that. But after seeing the trailer, I don't need to know much about him to know where he stands with this. If you are a God-fearing human being and you go watch the trailer for this. Expect your blood to boil and your spirit to be disturbed. Now, here's the other side to this that I want people who may not agree with me and my take to listen to. This story is telling you that you're only good for taking something else. These people who wrote this story are telling you in not so many words that you're worthless. Not only that, your heritage is steeped in sexual deviancy, because there are multiple scenes like that in this movie too. But you listen to them. I can only hope that people open their eyes to this nonsense, because this is getting ridiculous. It is getting absolutely ridiculous. Expect it or not, it's getting ridiculous. Open your eyes, see the truth, and wake up. Quite a few of you were privy to the discussion we had last night. I shouldn't probably call it a discussion, the dismantling of a certain individual last night. And recently, Too Strong came across a video of, and it seems a little older, but with aging of stuff, it could easily be something that they made to look vintage. But in either case, it was a video of a young boy expressing some kind of outrageous stuff. I'll probably have you take a look at it.
Lucas, can you tell us what happened?
I heard the noise, and I got up from bed and went into the kitchen to where Dad keeps the gun.
So you found it all by yourself, right?
I take it out a lot. Sometimes I just look at it.
Right now, it was a burglar, wasn't it, Lucas? He was trying to steal things.
He looked hungry. When he saw I had the gun, he put his hands up and said, "Please don't shoot."
But you didn't listen to him, did you?
I knew it would be easy to shoot him. Just aim and pull the trigger.
That's right.
Well, and that's exactly what you did,
You
right?
shot him in the leg, didn't you? You put one right through the kneecap, right?
Yeah, it was like bang really loud, and he fell down screaming, and there was lots of blood coming out.
Lucas, you really are a
He
hero.
started crawling away and crying, so I shot him in the back.
Yeah, you must be so proud of your son, Jack.
And then I stood over him and shot him like bang, bang.
Now, the majority of the comments on that seem to be, this is funny, this is really cool stuff, that's what he get. In other words, reinforcing. Meanwhile, on the video that was the precursor to the live last night, or for some who may see this video, the other day, there was hardly really encouragement given to the young lady on the screen simply reading events. What it caused us to think that there is some sort of disconnect in the human mind, and we understand the fallen nature of man and all that. I get it, but let's not act like we're stupid here and that free will and choice is not something still existing. There are many that still have the option to boost positivity and choose not to because it's not hilarious. As degrading as that hilarity might be. The comment section on that particular video, not Yoli's, but the one we saw first, is littered with reinforcement of the child's jesting or not behavior. Everything from the father's encouragement of it to giving an award to the newscaster, all of it, while it might be staged, shows something very nefarious in today's society, which is what? If you can joke about serious things, it won't be taken as serious. But it will still be something in your mind as something that you would accept subliminally. Meanwhile, when you do take the serious things serious, and the people saying it are the ones you are asking to have a voice, the same ones that say they should have a voice say nothing to encourage the one now having a voice. You don't find that a tad odd, a tad hypocritical, disingenuous? Well, Too Strong finds it quite so. You see, the same way we will call out rap music for its ridiculous messaging to kids, and they're not hiding it in jest. They might be hiding it in music and a dope beat. You have this video hiding violent tendencies of a child and society in humor. This is now the way of the world. And trust me that the devil knows exactly what he's doing. He knows that the people today are more likely to be fooled with entertaining hilarity than they are with factual reasoning. We don't want reasoning anymore. We don't want fact. We don't want truth. We want entertainment. We want to park our brains, park the truth, avoid reality at all costs. Even while doing that, you're inviting the same thing you're looking at and laughing at into your reality. Because whether you want to admit it or not, the listening to the coarse lyrics in rap and the watching of hilarious things like that video are telling you, sometimes subliminally, sometimes directly, that this stuff you can just laugh off and it's nothing. Don't worry about it. You can blame everything that happens bad on some other situation, not what you're putting into your brain, something else that you never even thought about. So go ahead and keep inundating yourself with that. Everything from sounds of freedom to real life people that capture pedophiles. You see it all over the right-wing social media of protect the kids and protect the kids and protect the kids. And be the voice of the voiceless. And when the voiceless finally gets a voice, they're silenced. And when there is an avenue where the same voiceless are given a platform, they're encouraged to provoke the same things that endanger them. And not just provoke it, promote it. And we sit back and laugh. And we are entertained. It's hilarious. We throw our money at it, our time at it, our likes, our thumbs up, our emojis and smiles. We can't be taken serious. We can't. Not at this rate. And unless you and I do something and say something, this will continue. It's time to stop it.
Conflict has returned once again to Ethiopia, this time in Amhara, the second largest region in the country. Many Amharas say that they've been sidelined by the government in Addis Ababa, which is dominated by the Oromo ethnic group. Local rebels in Amhara, known as Fano, helped the government in its 2-year war in neighboring Tigray. Now, though, they've taken up arms against the military. The rebels have been, in turn, accused of trying to overthrow the government.
For those of you unaware of the conflict going on right now in Ethiopia, there is a conflict between the people of the Amhara and the local government in Ethiopia. More so along the lines of them not getting their say, especially when it comes to voting, the way the government's being run, and they feel as though their say has been kind of suppressed. They lean towards a statement that the elections that took place there with Mr. Abiy Ahmed, their current prime minister, that it was rigged. Now, to go into full detail about what exactly took place and how it all went down, you don't really have to look much further than the American government to see how, when a certain regime wants power, they can do and will do whatever they have to maintain that power or even gain it. The difference is the Amhara people are not just going to sit by and let this thing take place. They have risen up, taken up arms, and created what they call a rebel uprising. I can't really call it a rebel uprising when you're simply trying to save your sovereignty. If you go back through all of history, there are myriads of times where people who were oppressed, who were downtrodden, stood up against the powers that be and took their liberties back. The Amhara people don't want necessarily to rule the world. They just want to be able to rule their future on their own terms. Mr. Abiy is what you would call a globalist. He is the leader of the Prosperity Party, and he's been in power since about 2019. Now, he was given, kind of like Mr. Obama, a Nobel Peace Prize for what? No one can really say. He came from nowhere, rose to prominence, and all of a sudden, Nobel Peace Prize. Now, what they said they gave it to him for was his efforts in achieving peace and international cooperation. If those terms sound familiar, there is another way that they phrase it nowadays, and it's called a New World Order. If America can learn anything from what's going on right now in Ethiopia, is that if the people who are over there that are feeling what they're feeling right now, which is being suppressed, can rise up after being armed by the very same government, what does that say for us? Now, I know this particular topic is not about the US, but when you look overseas and see people who have way less to lose fighting for it, I don't know if that's not a wake-up call. It should be a wake-up call. So let's look at this in another aspect. He is also the same one that's making deals with Russia and trying to outreach, is what he would say, to the larger countries in order to push forward the agenda of the Prosperity Party. They lean towards what you would call the Democratic Party. It shouldn't be a surprise, really, because in essence, the Democratic Party throughout the world is really the party that's trying to grab power. That is all it is. It's a simple, plain, everyday run-of-the-mill power grab. They want everyone to conform. They need everyone to follow the New World Order. The difference here is that you will be called all kinds of names: traitor, rebel, upriser, insurrectionist, if you decide to go against the grain and fight the system, as you are seeing now with the Amhara people. They are trying to maintain their sovereignty within the confines of Ethiopia, while the regime of Ethiopia is trying to tell them, you have no sovereignty but what we give you, and you need to comply with us in order to move forward in the society we are trying to build. Again, there are many nuances. There's many conflicts going back lots of years, 1,000 plus, of a conflict between the Amhara people and every regime that's ever existed at the head of the country of Ethiopia. I get that. But we are talking about the current iteration of the current regime and the current relationship between the Amhara people and the regime right now in power. The regime that's in power right now are socialists. They are no different than any other global regime trying to bring all the people to think one way and to be integrated into one way or else. Our goal here in learning about this conflict is to try and see, why is it that we here, who are so privileged to even have a voice, are unwilling to stand up. Meanwhile, you have people in Ethiopia with more odds against them doing what we ought to do. Now, again, I'm not calling for a coup. I'm not calling for a violent outbreak, but some spine would be nice. Some spine, any spine, a little bit of spine would be nice. But as for the conflict, we can only hope that the Amhara people can get some sort of headway in this, because if they lose even a little bit more footing, you can kiss Ethiopia goodbye. Socialists will move in, and that will be one more piece in the cog of the New World Order. I don't know how many of you have kept up with the news, but did you hear that President Trump has been brought up on RICO charges? That might be old news now, but you know the old adage of what goes around comes around. It fits perfectly right here. You see, the same measure, and we've said it before, that you use to judge someone, it'll be used against fill in the blank. Okay, so in Georgia, we all know that that's where all this mess is taking place, where the RICO charges were filed. Karma, justice has been kind of served. The Attorney General there, the Republican one, his name is Chris Carr. Well, apparently he has brought RICO charges against 61 leftists, protesters, and the like. Now, it's a small step, I get it. But here's the thing. The same way they're trying to use small people against the big fish in Donald Trump, and the same measure they're using to bring him in, they forgot that they also left the same door open for everyone else to use. And it has begun. Now, we, Too Strong said this before, whether our support's behind Trump or not, we've said this before. They will play their hand to the point where they just can't do anything else, and then they forget that they already played that hand, and they've set it as precedent. Now everyone else can use it. The same way they want to investigate presidents past, like with Trump, setting the precedent, we can now go after presidents of past. Now, right or wrong, that's not the question here. It's precedent. We know it was wrong, what they did, but they left the door open for us to walk in and do what they did. And I think we've been fighting fair for far too long. I just think we've been fighting fair for far too long. We need to play by their rules. I think it's only fair that we play by their rules. If they can go after somebody they dislike, disagree with, and Trump charges up against them that have no merit, and somehow, some way they stick, I think we are obligated to do the same. Remember now, they keep wanting us to do what they do. That's what they keep telling us, right? We have the correct way of doing things. We know what's right. Perfect. I'm glad you said that. I am super glad that you said that how you do things is the right way. Perfect. So here's what we'll do. For everything you do to someone you dislike, for whoever we dislike, we will do the same. I consider that fair. I don't think that's inappropriate at all. I think technically it's biblical. Judge not lest ye be. They love to throw that at people. Well, guess what? It's a two-way street. And I honestly cannot wait to see what becomes of this. Now, so far, there are no major political people involved or named in this. But like I said, the big names will have to join in because we go after the small fry first. You remember how they targeted Trump to begin with? They went after his staffers. They went after his campaign people. And they kept building their case all the way to the top. Well, hear this. If you believe that the way you're doing it is right, then you have no ground to stand on, to complain about, to even raise a fuss if we follow suit. In fact, you should be applauding that we have finally listened to you and are following your lead. So, in the spirit of camaraderie, thank you. Thank you, leftists, for opening this door. Without you, this would not be possible. Now, I would advise you hold on to your seats. Here's why. Because if this goes the way I hope it goes, the next step is to go after people who denied election results. I do remember a large swath of people that did that. I think the year was 2016. Yeah, and there are two people in particular I can remember saying some stuff. And I cannot wait until they are brought up on election integrity charges. When that happens, I think it'll be the first time I'll actually throw a party. And you're invited. It'll be a watch party. Oh, this is going to get good, folks. It's going to get good. Now, will it change the trajectory of where things are going? It may slow it down. But for now, small victories, I'll take them. Well, we have some kind of, I would take it as big news. Now, you can take it as small, you can take it as trivial, but it's a step in the right direction as far as I'm concerned. 61, note that 61 individuals have now been charged in Georgia with what? RICO violations.
Tonight at 11, the battle to win in the court of public opinion is now waging in full force.
Just hours ago, 61 people were indicted in one massive criminal case, all of them charged with conspiring to use violence to try to stop the construction of Atlanta's future public safety training center.
These are people on the left, and the Georgia Republican AG has just filed that sweeping 61-member indictment. Okay? Now, of the 61 people, only 13 of them are from Georgia. The problem with what's going on, and I don't know if it's necessarily a problem for us conservatives. I think it's more of a problem for people who are progressive or left-leaning. When you came at President Trump with the RICO charge, you opened for yourself the door for multiple other people who don't think like you to do the same thing to you. And this might just be the very beginning of the iceberg that they have created and ran their own Titanic next to. Now, what they're actually charged with is, mind you, this is also covering multi-agency. From what it says, it's this. They are listed as domestic terrorists within the United States because of their stance of anti-cop, and I guess from what he was saying, Democrat-affiliated entities. They're not giving a whole lot of details about this, and we can only speculate that this might be as a retaliation for what's being done to President Trump. But let's take this down one more notch. If RICO charges are that serious, like they're trying to make it against President Trump, then they should be more than ecstatic that the RICO charge is being brought upon people who are actually doing racketeering. This will be an option for them. Either accept it or fight it. They put themselves in hot water if they fight it, because then they're saying that their reasonings for RICO are not universal. Or that what they have on President Trump is so vastly different than what the AG is bringing against these 61 individuals that they would have to try and persuade the public opinion people, not the courts, the public opinion, that what they're doing is indeed right. That will be the harder thing for them to prove in the public's eye. Now, many of you might know about the Southern Poverty Law Center. Their lawyer is one of those people on those charges. That is a very big deal, because that includes a whole nother level of government that they want to hide their arm in. The U.S. government on the Democratic side has their arms in many, many facets of things, from MSM to PolitiFact to fact checkers. And they bring about these people in order to defame the people on the right and to promote their reasonings for arrests. And I've said this before, karma, if you believe in that, I don't, or your comeuppance, is a very silly thing for you when it happens. It's hilarious for us, but it's silly for you for one reason. It shows me that you don't really think things through. And I mean you on the left. You're not seeing as far as you're throwing your ball. You're hoping that people will just take the emotional upheaval that you caused from this RICO charge. But you don't realize the door you've just opened, that Pandora box, will never be able to be closed. You've now filed charges against a former president, former sitting president. Once he became a civilian, you have told everyone else that that is now fair game. Now, with all, I guess, mob activity, you start with the small ones. And you milk the small ones to get to the next level. And you milk those to get to the next level. And eventually you get to the top dog. This is how they got to Trump. They started off in 16, Manafort, Flynn, and they went all the way up until where they're at now? Trump. Now, hear me out. I don't know if this will go this way. I hope it does, but I don't know if it'll go this way. If this is indeed a legit lawsuit on the RICO charge with these 61 people across Georgia state lines, it is going to absolutely destroy the Democrat Party, because the precedent this will set is that they can go after any low-level person that has any affiliation with the Democrat Party to bring down the whole thing. And it wouldn't even be because that the Republicans thought about it. They're going to use the Democrat strategy against themselves. Now, to me, I know I probably shouldn't laugh at this, but this is hilarious. Corey and I have been saying this for a long time, that you play a hand to the point where you realize, oh, you're already putting the card down and they've already seen the card. You can't pull it back now and you got to drop it. Not realizing the other person now has a royal flush. Now, I hope this will mean that more things will come from it. Maybe people like Maxine Waters and Pelosi might get charged eventually. But if I'm honest with myself, I don't see that happening. I can wish. Maybe you can too. But I am looking forward to see what this is going to yield, if anything, and if it's actually going to go to fruition throughout the courts, go to discovery, and finally bring to the surface the underbelly of this disgusting system we have now called the U.S. government. So stay tuned, because this is about to get spicy. Good old Zuck is back in the news. He's joining his compadres out in Hawaii. Not joining as in recent. He's just coming to the forefront now because of what's been happening on Maui. He has, I think, 400 acres on a spot there in Maui, and it's all fenced, and it was all usurped by Zuckerberg over the Hawaiian people. And we've been hearing this controversy for a long time that Hawaiians didn't really want to be a part of the 50 states, 49 at the time, didn't want to be a part, and they were taken over. Now, if you put all the political jargon aside, let's talk about what Mark Zuckerberg's presence there really means. Now, we'll link him with people like Oprah, Bezos, amongst the myriads of people that have land there that are really, really rich. We spoke on Too Strong before about these smart cities. Here's the thing, you can't really have a truly functioning smart city without the truly nefarious side of it that people like Zuckerberg and Gates will bring to the table. You need them. So what better way than to have what happened in Maui, bring in all the people that were residing there. They have the sympathy card. I really want to get this place back up and running. And we're going to use our resources to show you how modern life can help you. So Zuckerberg's there. People have not heard much about it. I mean, we've heard some stories about him having land there, but 400 acres, all fenced. Security is 24 hours around the clock. What does Zuckerberg have that Maui does not want but Oprah wants to introduce as well as Bezos. Well, we have the smart cities, and who right now is the kingpin of it? Meta. Okay, you have Elon, Zuckerberg, Bezos, Oprah. I ain't talking about The Rock right now. He's just a money man. He don't have nothing intelligent to offer the conversation. Those four horsemen, and that's what I'm going to call them, the four horsemen, are introducing something to the land of Maui that people were saying for some time that may be coming down the pike, articles after articles, and now all of a sudden, a certain sector that was trying to hold out burned up, and all the elites seem to have all their properties unscorched, unscathed, and now they're moving in with all sorts of money, the same way they got their land, to purchase up the spots that they know they need to do what they want to do. Hawaiians aren't having it. We get that. They're fighting it tooth and nail. But there is a bigger picture. If you keep watching what we've done here on Too Strong, and we're linking certain things, there is a whole nother nefarious side to the government that we're not talking about, linking arms with these four. They're doing it for this, we know that. But are they doing it to also limit the population on Maui? They are. They've tried this before. I'm not going to go into the weeds on that, but we'll drop another link to another show sometime that will show you what we mean. But they've tried this before. The people of Maui stood up then. We're in a different time. We're under different regimes, and we're under different criteria for freedom. Today is 9/11. For those of you seen it after, this was recorded then. They stepped in and took away certain freedoms from us. The American people. Remember, Hawaii's part of it. Your privacy is gone. You no longer have the voice you used to have. And they can do things to you now that they could not do before. So whereas you could fight before verbally, you can't now. They'll silence your voice, limit your reach, and continue doing what they're going to do. How's the best way to limit the reach of the Hawaiian people? I will give you two guesses. I'll just give you one. Media. Zuckerberg pretty much runs it. So does Bezos. If you take your presence off of Facebook, limit your contact, limit your reach, limit your message, they can continue doing what they're doing. And by the time information flows out, too little, too late. The government in Hawaii is directly working with Zuckerberg, Oprah, the four horsemen, to bring about what? What they've always wanted, 15-minute cities. Maui's prime land, prime location. You can retire and be rich, and you can also have your farms. Now, I've worked on data farms before. One of them was Microsoft. Minimum 20 acres per size. Just you plop something down there, set up your data farm, 20 acres. Maui has land. This entire thing reeks of corruption, and the current regime isn't going to stop it. I'm telling you now, they're not going to stop it. They're not going to speak about it. It's why he hasn't visited. It's why Kamala hasn't said anything. It is why there's only given $700. We're giving you enough to hopefully help you shut up and make you understand that we're in charge here, not you. This is going to get a whole lot worse before it even remotely starts to sniff getting better. With Mark Zuckerberg's hand in this, you can best bet that if you thought shutting the people and the journalists out from the burnt down sections was bad, wait until they start shutting down locals on every platform from saying something. When it gets to that point, maybe we will wake up, maybe we won't. But I can guarantee you one thing, by then, it'll be too late. Well, it seems Republicans have finally grown some, and opened up impeachment hearings into Joseph R. Biden.
House Republicans announced an impeachment inquiry into President Biden. The move has gotten pushback from both sides of the aisle, but a new Reuters poll shows the country is divided on the issue. 41% support the idea, 35% are opposed, and 24% just aren't sure. Now, two things.
I'm not quite sure they're doing this out of a need to save America or a need for revenge. The Democrats opened this door. During President Trump's tenure, they went after him guns blazing. No holds barred. Any and everything they could find against him, they went. Whether it had merit, held water, was true, a lie, it didn't matter. As long as they could proceed with it, they went with it. Now we have Republicans going after Joe Biden. Now we all understand there is a lot to go after Biden for. It is endless. It is right there, black and white, and sometimes in red because of the blood it shed. But here's the king. Whether or not we want to believe the Republicans, do they have the balls to follow through? I don't believe they do. I don't trust McCarthy. Period. Hands down, I don't trust him. So is he doing this in order to placate to the ones that do want to impeach Biden, or is he actually doing it because Biden has done something wrong? We already see that Matt Gaetz and a few others have already called him out and said, look, if you're not going to do what we ask you to do, we're just going to vacate your role. What does that tell you? There's still dissension among Republicans. So we cannot be banking on them to make the right decision because they're operating in ill faith with each other. How much more are they going to be operating in ill faith towards the American public? We can be frank about one thing. President Biden has been one atrocious pick. He has done everything in his power to send money from the American pockets to Ukraine while watching the American economy crumble. He has never been one to shy away from understanding that he is doing this for his own gain. He's always told us that, but no one wants to listen. He has made multiple business dealings, although having no business to deal in. And no one seems to want to call him out for all the racism that he's done. So what is the impeachment about? What exactly are they going to bring to the table? So far, they have deals with money between him, his family, and his son. They have dealings with him in China, dealings with him in Ukraine. But will it stand? And what's the end goal? The end goal is not to impeach Biden. Why do I say that? I believe the end goal is to placate America. I don't really believe that any of the Republicans with any gusto want to actually impeach Biden. I think they're all paid. I think they're all paid to keep this narrative going, to keep the American people on the edge of their seats, to avoid them looking deeper. Now, you all guys understand that Too Strong is not necessarily going to be voting for President Trump. While we understand that his policy will indeed be better for America financially when it comes to food, gas, cost of living, we get that. But the Republican Party does not want that for the Americans. They are playing the exact same game and have been since Herbert Walker. They've been playing this game for a long time, and they're good at it, very good at it. They know how to play us. So how about we don't play with them? How about we take our ball and go home? How about we stay focused? And regardless of what they do with Biden, we stay focused. Now, if your goal is to save America morally, that can't happen through any president. That has to happen through God, no one else. But if your job is to save America fiscally, Trump is the one to do it. It's not going to happen through anyone else. The other question is whether or not Trump coming in is going to go as hard as he was for America, or is he going to go more for his name? We don't know that yet. We can hope. But as far as this impeachment goes, I don't think it's going to come to anything. I think they'll come to the same conclusion as they did with Trump. It'll get past the House, go to the Senate, and just kind of fizzle out. He's not going to get removed. No amount of evidence is going to make the Democrats budge because they already know about this stuff. And we have enough rhinos in power that it will not make a difference. This is to make the extreme conservative movement feel appeased. Let them know it's not going to appease you. Let them know that what they're doing is not pulling the wool over anyone's eyes, that we see right through it, and regardless of all the sham impeachment hearing that they hold for Biden, guilty or not, it matters not come voting time. I'm not saying to put an R next to anything. I'm telling you that what the Democrats have offered, what the left has offered, is the death of our children, economy, and America. What little choice we have on the right, choose wisely. Because at the end of this will mean the end of America as a dynasty and the beginning of the communist version of it, or the extension to give us just enough time to wake up.